at your own pace if you are actually a front-end heavy person. There's no hard and fast rule related to that. But in certificate Meshery contributor, when you go through the curriculum, you will be automatically learning the basics, and then just enough to get started as a contributor. If you want to, go from a front end to a full stack part. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Thanks, Ronak, for starting the live stream. Um, Let me actually share the screen. Okay. Hello, everybody. So I hope you can actually see the screen now. So we are starting with the ninth session of Certified Meshery Contributor Study Group. Feel free to add your name as in the list of attendees over here. In the previous, okay, let's actually open up the Certified Meshery Contributor. Certified Meshery Contributor, I'm just opening up that to show you the curriculum once again, to familiarize with what we are actually looking at. So there are basically 5 units: CLI, extensibility, models, servers, and then UI contributor. We have actually looked through all these 4 topics, and today we are going to start with the Meshery UI part. So inside the curriculum, you can see the resources. We'll be using mostly these resources plus anything extra for looking at the uh, Next.js or Rust-based SWC. Uh, just to get more understanding. That's all. But mostly we will be reusing the slides which are available here. Um, since this is a very big topic, if you can you can see that from the Meshery UI, right at the prerequisites itself. Um, we have contributing to Meshery UI, notification center, schema-driven development, system end-to-end tests, and dashboard widgets. We would be focusing on Meshery UI, contributing to Meshery system, and then schema-driven development. Schema-driven development we will be looking at later because my co-host will be actually attending another meeting right now, and then he'll be joining back after that meeting is over. So till that time, we will be looking at Meshery UI and contributing to system. Um, let's actually go to Meshery UI. There are 2 types of providers which Meshery has as a part of point of extensibility. If you had attended the previous session on Meshery extensibility, we had covered that one is actually the local provider known as none, and the other one is a remote provider. This image here used is old. When you actually run it locally, you would be getting that um, layer 5 instead of Meshery whilst trying to select the provider. So extension, so local provider's name is actually none. It's just a way to put it your local development into a single user mode, and it doesn't require any authentication. But in case of remote provider, when you select that and then start Meshery, and you would be actually going to layer 5 IO, cloud.layer5.io authentication, and then you would be getting it authenticated, and then you will be coming back to the local host where you are running Meshery. Um, there are three different types of extension points. Canvas, as you have seen in the newcomers meeting, Canvas is a place where you can have a visualization of your infrastructure or cloud native infrastructure. And there you would actually be able to do collaborative designs. You would be able to import designs that import designs or clone designs that people have created before, and then manage your Kubernetes clusters and cloud services without extensive headache. It's actually a specific kind of thing. Uh, Collaborator is used for real-time heading of Meshery. Provider UI is the entry point to choose the provider type. And user preference plugin shows the settings for Canvas preferences pages. Let's start with what we have here. In the UI contribution workflow, we have Meshery UI is built on React and Next.js. So in case of Next.js, we are actually using the architecture. The top level libraries are being used for these things like Next.js. It's for server and a router. React.js is the user interface library. Material UI is the design system. We have assistant in which we are collating everything related to the design system. So some of the icons, for instance, would be coming from system, but internally it will be look using material UI. Um, that's just an example. Billboard JS is used for charting libraries. For example, okay, this is something which you might find useful. I'll just put it in the chat. Yeah, this is just an example of donut chart or any chart. This is the Billboard JS demo page that you have, where you can actually see how the sample code is used and how um, the data is generated, etc. We definitely use a lot of donut charts, pie charts, and stuff in our UI. So cytoscape.js. Cytoscape.js is the graph network, library for visualization of the topology that you have. When you open Canvas and then add a code and a service, and then maybe from one cluster you have a relationship drawn using an edge. Uh, what works underneath the hood is powered using Cytoscape.js. So, build system. SWC is PD Web Compiler. It is based on Rust. And yeah, Next.js is actually from the company called Vercel, which is famous for the Vercel app. And SWC, when compared to Babel, it is very, very fast in doing the builds and optimizing the performance. So it is very good in doing the transpiling. Where when we talk about transpiling, it is um, uh, it is just maybe we have to talk about a little bit of TypeScript basics and JavaScript basics. So TypeScript was introduced later as a effort to add type to JavaScript, and it has a separate ECMA 6 and above you know uh, the standard for that, and most of the browsers are JavaScript friendly. So to let the code run, we use something called transpilation, in which the TypeScript code is converted to JavaScript so that browser's support is actually good. So that's the place where a speedy web compiler actually comes handy, because earlier systems like Babel were actually a lot slow when compared to SWC. So Meshery uses schema-driven development, not only for UI but for the CLI also. In the first few sessions where we covered Meshery CLI, and in the last session where we covered Meshery server, we have gone through the schema-driven development thing. So where components and forms are generated from JSON schema, uh, it enables like UI adaptation. Consistent values are passed between UI and the REST layer so that we get correct information while calling the REST APIs, for instance. And there is actually proper type safety across the application, because you have the Meshery UI running on one port and Meshery server running on another port. You call the REST API using this default port of 9081 TCP, which is Meshery's default port, and you call this according to the REST API reference that you have, and you need to actually get the values properly. So we need to have a contract in place between the caller and the callee to ensure working across the Golang and the Next.js applications is seamless. So that's why we are going for schema-driven UI development. My co-host Ronak will be taking this part. So we will move on to the next part, API overview. This is again extensibility part. We had covered this part as a part of API, extensibility unit. We have uh, REST, GraphQL APIs available, and yeah. So additionally, remote providers can extend Meshery's endpoints behind the API slash extension mesh endpoint. So I am not going to cover everything here. I think if you watch the extensibility unit recording, the live stream recording, you would be able to get a better understanding of this. So, um, Meshery UI design, it's a significant component, and operate there is, before you jump to work on any of the UI related task, it is advisable to create a mock-up design. So we have the Figma UI design file available here. Um, we have the Figma UI design available here. You have the conventions and design principles written. Feel free to check out the Meshery UI designs over here, and then add your design. Create a mockup for your UI changes, so that it is seamless, and it's better to add that mockup in the PR description or the issue descriptions that you are going to create. The so in order to get access to the Figma file, you need to go to this open invitation and fill in the community member form, which was given in the newcomers, which is shown in the newcomers meeting, so that you can get additional community resources in shared drives from the Meshery community. Um, so here are the design principles that you have while gen looking at UI for contribution. So first thing is user experience should be intuitive. When it's like you should not have, since it's a visual component, the Meshery canvas, for instance, uh, you need not have too much of text over there. So it should be intuitive, and the layouts and everything should be predefined, having predefined filters and common tasks. Um, and it should be extensible, um, facilitating third party integrations, and should be event driven whenever possible. So, setup prerequisites is Node.js. Um, so, installing dependencies, let's go to the make file. For any project that you get in open source, usually you would go to makefile to understand what is happening. So here, first thing is, so here you have Meshery UI native builds. These are the ones which will be used. You okay, make UI. First thing is to install the dependencies. So make UI setup is used to install the dependencies. Then make UI build is used to export the UI code. So UI build, UI setup. And yeah, these are the key targets in make that you can use for um, creating your, I mean, testing your local changes. One is UI. UI lint is for linting. UI hyphen provider is for um, exploring for building provider hyphen UI. I as I told, UI. This is the main UI place where the main UI related changes reside, and this is for the provider UI. So, um, so this is the place. If you go to package.json in UI, you can see the scripts part. So dev is here. So when you run npm run dev, this is what gets executed. Npm run linfix and node UI dev server.js. So when you go to dev server.js, you can see that you are actually having a JavaScript here, and you are checking if there is any process environment port taken. Otherwise, you look for 3000, and here you have app, which is the next dev, and then you will call the prepare create server. You're doing the create server, and then you listen on this port 3000. The proxy, this is to listen to the target port of 9081, where the Meshery server runs for any of the REST related or GraphQL related queries that go. This will be used. Hmm. So when it comes to UI folder, there are a lot of things to explore. For example, one of the things is the endpoints.ts. where you have all the endpoints, uh, endpoints, constants for endpoints added. Common.ts is the place where you have common constants added, etc. API is the place where you have all the async calls to get the models, mesh models, or all the other methods to get the version component from model, etc., etc. So these call the API slash mesh model slash API, and then get the data. Mm, yeah. So these are the components that are there in React, which will be useful when you are which will be useful to look into when you are working on a particular UI change. So uh, this is how we have changes from system imported. Um, okay, let's go back to uh, the code, and I mean write up and then look at it. So make UI build. This user builds the UI code, and then at 9081 it is UI code will be available when makes UI server is used. Okay. Uh, make UI server is used to build and export the UI code and build and run the Meshery server. If you look at the target, it is actually make server is also called, and make UI build is also called. To start the Meshery server locally, so that your API calls to the backend is uh, returned back by, I mean, responded back by the the server, Meshery server. You can run make server. It will open up at a local host in 9081. So sometimes you might get this error. This was covered in the previous session related to make server also. So what need sometimes there will be a version incompatibility between the server and the UI, or server and the CLI, or something like that. So what you need to do is that you should go to the Meshery folder in the local system where you have gone, and you need to actually fetch the changes from the upstream, and then restart the Meshery server. Uh, Better always sync your fork and the master so that this issue doesn't come up. Do that syncing frequently while doing the development. If you want to work on UI, it would be good idea to include UI development server. So that is done using make UI. If you look at make UI and Vim runtime, yeah, this is the only thing that is run there. Um, Next thing, I think we are going to cover this end-to-end integration test later. So we would be looking at contributing to UI assistant. We are splitting this UI part also into two sessions because there is a lot of things to talk about, and it would be very difficult to cram everything into one single session of 60 minutes. Um, so we are going to the next topic, contributing to Meshery UI's system. So system, it's in case of um, Meshery server and Meshery CLI, we saw that Meshkit is used for consolidating everything related to error, uh, Meshkit errors, or anything I mean that can be used common across multiple projects. So system is similar to what you have meshkit in the backend. You have system in the front end where you have the design system that is used by Meshery UI. It's an open source design system built on top of Material UI, and gives a custom theme on top of it for a consistent look and feel when you navigate from one place to another. It includes things like icons, which I told earlier, and components, some other design related stuff also are there in System. Um, so it's again reusing um, what you have in System would ensure that you don't um, you don't reinvent the wheel, and there is consistency across multiple places. So this is just an example model used for validation of design. Um, how to use resistant measure UI? We are using we are using it like this. Um, if you look at the code base also, see, we are just importing whatever you want, use theme, everything. Um, button icon is also taken from there. And then used inside this registry model for providing buttons like create model or import export model, etc., which you can see inside playground if you go to. I haven't logged in this one. So hmm. Meshery dashboard is loading. Let's talk about system. Yeah. So, while it is loading, let's actually look at the code. Yeah. For example, this is the registry place. You have create model, import model, export model, etc. So these buttons are designed using the icon button, which is uh, imported from system/system. So most of the um, the customized icons you can find from this repository. System layer, it is under layer 5 IO or not the Meshery or, and inside SRC custom you have the custom buttons. BB chart is used for billboard.js import for chart options, and uh, this is being used extensively. Um, Similar to that, a lot of things like dialogue, custom dialogue, etc., are being, um, are given here. And then inside here, if you are new to Next, you have an example folder where you have the Next.js project bootstrap with the create next app, and you can actually play around with this one to understand more about Next.js also. Um, so Here, there is actually something called token and colors also in system theme. A theme is nothing which, but it provides a cohesive and consistent look for by using color palettes, uh, legible fonts, and layouts. So there, for a given icon or a given thing, you have both dark and light themes like this. This is just an example. Uh, Value is a unique visual contribute, a visual attribute which is assigned to the tokens. There is an RGB value. People who are familiar with the UI, CSS, and all, you would be actually understanding about different values given for colors. Um, so tokens, they serve as a shared language between the design and development. Um, and You have context and modifiers derived from the current color palette. Roles specify the context for applying the colors. Different roles can have the same value but different use cases. These values depend on the current theme. So import use theme is used for to assess to use the current theme and utilize the use theme hook to access the theme properties and apply them. This is just an example. You have a component, React component, and then you import the button and use theme from system and return a simple variant content. You apply the different style based on click and then return that div. Um, so I think Ronak is still in a meeting. So I'll just cover the UI part, you know, the UI schema related part also. So as I told earlier, we have schema driven UI development in case of Meshery. Meshery schemas is the place where you can find the schema related uh, uh, the repository. So you have something called Open API, with which we have defined the schema, and it's the if you look at the schemas also, you have the schema slash constructs. There is the schemas folder, constructs folder, and then we have different types of versions, v1 beta 1, v1 beta 2, etc. And we have each of the construct, for example the model. You have the api.yaml, which is actually used for um, here you have the example for that. Instead of the open api.yaml is the api.yaml. The api.yaml defines the specification for operations that are available, and you have the noun here. For example, it's a model. Model.yaml. Defines the uh, JSON schema for the the YAML schema, YAML template that's actually generated. So for subschemas, you will have subfolders. Yeah, these are the, for example, this is the sample JSON, and the sample YAML that would adhere to the YAML definitions over here.
Kavita, your screen
Huh?
it's not
Oh, yeah.
visible.
Oh, I'm actually sorry about
No
that.
issue.
Thank you for letting me know. Is it visible now?
Yes.
Yeah. So you can see the a link to contributing to the UI schemas. I have added that as a part of the agenda items here. This one, so you can use them uh, to review. And yeah, so this is the repository structure. Um, UI development, we just like what we have earlier. We have actually seen how the CI, for the CLI you use the UI specification, OpenAPI specification. We take the same OpenAPI.yaml and then generate the TypeScript related stuff, the schema objects using this make generate command. Um, so let's actually go through the make file again. npm run generate types. That's run. So in case of TypeScript, when you run the make generate types, it will actually create the .ts and .d.ts files under this particular place, and you can open the TypeScript index file after generation. And you can actually export from this particular file and then build the TypeScript package using npm run build. Using the schema package in UI, you go and then sorry, and Hannah, sorry, please. Just a few. Sorry about that. It was just my daughter returning after playing in the playground. Yeah. So
No
back
issue.
to yeah, thank you. So back to what we have here. So once you build and export the schema objects, you can use them in the package in UI with npm install. So you would be installing that in the schemas. For example, here in the previous session, I had shown the preferred structure, have everything cloned to the same place so that it would be easier for you to do local development. Like the root folders shall exist in uh, the same directory level. So with that, you can use the dot dot slash schemas, and then it will upgrade the package.json. And then you can actually do import the types and objects into your local UI component. For example, if you have some changes for design types, that would be imported using this measure schema, and then you can uh, give use that in your development, local development. So integration points in UI. Oh yeah, Ronak is here. So thank you for joining. Is it possible for you to start with the integration points in UI? I just started with the Meshery schemas a bit and then explained about schema-driven development UI workflow a bit so that you could continue with this integration points. Is it okay?
Yeah, I think we can cover some topics, Savita, for the next session, but I can demonstrate some of the make targets that we are having in schemas.
Yeah,
With yeah, I will take over from here.
yeah, sure.
Just a second. All right, so if we talk about the Meshery schemas repo, since the single source of truth for all of our logical constructs that we have in any of the either the APIs or that we use in the front-end repositories. That is, for example, the Meshery UI. That is the single source of truth is Meshery schemas, and that they, as already I think Kavita would have told, that it lives in the Meshery schemas repo. We have a separate repo where all our constructs live. For example, so these constructs, they get updated each each time where we do have something, a nightly workflow that updates it. But talking about uh, some of the make targets that we have in Meshery schemas that sort of generates and build these constructs, then they get reused in Meshery. We do have something called as generate RTK that generate all the Redux toolkit query clients for your Meshery UI, and then they get imported in Meshery code base. So we can, for example, run this make target that is generate RTK. And after we build this, so it also builds side by side the Open API YAML file that has all the API endpoints and its related schema. For example, if we go to the Meshery OpenAPI.yaml, so this single YAML file has all the API endpoints for Meshery server that it uses, although it's um, not completely in sync because there's a lot of work going around in that. For example, this it's defining that Okay, we do have something called as this API that is of environments. We have certain tags and categories. So if we go to the layer 5 or Meshery docs, we do categorize them. Certain APIs fall under certain buckets, and it has its own operation ID, and then it defines the logical construct where what exactly the model or this the what exactly if, for example, it's the request body, what exactly will be the schema for the request. It has certain properties, for example, description and not, and then certain fields that are required like name and organization ID. So this all these things, they get uh, built out in the other directories when we do this make command. So if we navigate to, for example, the Meshery schemas repo, I think that would be helpful to see the generated artifacts that we have. So for specifically talking about for the TypeScript line, so in the TypeScript directive, we have the generated artifacts labeled with their categorized with the latest versions. For example, if we want to check the latest version for our academy. So it has all the interfaces. So the previous YAML that I showed, so after we run this make command, we get these things generated. That is this interface, and this whole block then gets imported to Meshery. So all these things, the single source of truth lives over here, and it has all the types and interfaces and Redux hooks that also gets imported in Meshery. So it is categorized with different things. And for example, this if you see the commit history for it, so it gets generated, I think, daily or after a particular release, and we don't have to commit in these repo in this folders. But here's a nice documentation. I think we can go through as well. It walks us through the correct directory structure it has, and the RTK query clients are defined in. And this over here. So for example, uh, this is somehow what you can find in the Meshery code base, how we are importing different open API schemas defined in Meshery schemas. And this is for the RTK query clients, how it's used. So this is the hook that we are using. These two hooks get imported from Meshery schemas and the cloud API distribution. And if you run this singular make target, it will generate all code from the repository root. So you can play around with some different make targets. So we also have something like if we want to generate, so this is for the RTK query clients, and if you want to generate the TypeScript types, you can run the make generate TS, and it will generate all the TypeScript types over here in the TypeScript generated, and the same thing I just navigated in the Meshery in the Meshery schemas GitHub. And what do we else we have? Yeah, and part of this also comes from Meshkit. We have also some of it defined in Meshkit. So yeah, I think that's all I can share. But we also had a previous session about Meshery schemas where we covered in the I think in the last or the in last to last session we talked more about the Meshery schemas, and there's a different document on Meshery schemas. So this is particular for schema driven UI development Meshery, and there's another document that is schema driven development in Meshery. So that's more descriptive, and it's so this document this for UI and it calls out for similar things, but you can also check out the main Meshery schema development. So yeah, do we have anything else to cover, Kavita, today?
I don't think we have anything else. So I just am sharing that document so that
Mhm.
people can look at the contributing to schemas part, which we covered earlier.
Yeah.
We will be actually focusing on notification sender and dashboard widgets plus end-to-end tests. And if possible, we will be covering a, a quiz on this UI unit in the next session. We have only a couple of minutes, so I think we can ask for some
Mhm.
questions if you have any.
Okay, I don't think we have any questions. Oh, yeah, Pratna, there is a live stream happening of all these sessions that we host for the certification study hall. Um, you can find all the live streams on the Meshery.io channel, and for the sake of the convenience, I will also just share the
Thank you.
link for it. Um, you can over here. So, oh, I'm not sharing. Yeah, so over here, if we go to the live section, you can find all the recordings over here. Currently, this is not uh, in a separate playlist. So
Okay,
I
got it.
think,
Thank you.
yeah,
All right.
I just dropped it in the Zoom chat.
So UI is the last part, right? Of the entire modules. This is so next week will be the last session on the UI, the last dashboard and whatever the things are remaining.
Yes.
Yeah, perhaps the last one. And if we can, if we find some activities around the certification, like the one Kavita came up with, the quiz. So we can also have something like that. I believe we haven't covered the models, practice questions with live with everyone, right? Yeah.
Just one question. It may be not like I don't know. That's what I'm asking. So,
Mhm.
is there any particular date when we schedule this exam, or it's whenever the we will complete finish the modules and then the exam will appear on its own?
So for the good part, it's not, and you can just enroll in the examination and just complete one module, go away for 1 year, and then came up back complete another module. So it will still work.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So it's just
Yeah.
like at your money. I mean, self-paced is mentioned, so it's completely
Yeah.
self-paced. Got it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anyway, these sessions are very helpful because understanding, of course, something I'm looking into as a newcomer and looking into the code base. Of course, there is AI and there is all the things I can understand, but I think when people who has experience in the code base, when they are giving some insights, that actually helps a lot. So yes, thanks a lot for these sessions to both of you.
Hi, Ronak. I have a doubt. Uh,
Actually, I really don't know more about a Go language. So, is there any repositories for Go to go through around it, as we have TypeScript and RTK thing in our code base? Uh,
In Meshery, slash Meshery itself, you can see Meshery CTL, which is written using Go, and the server folder also is written using Go. Those are the two places where we have extensive Golang usage.
okay. Thank you,
Yeah,
Kavita ma'am.
no
Thank you,
issues.
Ronak.
Yeah, you can also check out the repository overview for where we have all the listed projects and required tech stack if you're interested in finding some Go code.
Yeah, if you want to actually learn Go as a beginner, I would suggest you to go to the Go playground. And then there is actually one site called Go by Examples. That is good. Um, which I had actually used while trying to learn. Gobyexample.com. I'll just copy paste that here. Uh, and then there was Go 101, I believe, which had some quizzes as well. Uh, so this is also a good resource, and the official Golang go.dev page. These are few things which you can try to use to learn Go. Uh, so the documentation can be extensive in Go, but I would suggest you to go to go.dev. Effective Go, for instance. This is a very good place. Oh, nice to hear that Devansof is also a good developer. So Effective Go is one place where you can get answers for so many things, like why exactly certain things are designed the way it is. Uh, uh, for me, some of the pain points which comes to Go was actually the error handling, which going has. Um, but there are actually some reasons why certain things are designed in that way. So, Effective Go is one very good place where you can read about many stuff and then understand. I'd actually suggest to go through these two, three uh, sites and then use the Go playground to run some uh, basic coding related stuff. Familiarize yourself with what is available, like the structs and what exactly is a function pointer, how exactly those things are used. uh, I mean, a lot of things you can actually go through and then gradually try to understand the code base in server and Meshery CTL at your ease. That's all.
Thank you, Kavita ma'am. That's a lot resources from you. And I'm actually very new to this open source things, and having people like Ronak and you makes it very easy. Looks very easy. And having things on the go, it's like I'm going in a right path only. So thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Ronak.
Thank you. Yeah, please go ahead with your question, Lisanov.
Uh, Hello, everybody. Can you, how can we achieve CNC certificate?
CMC certificate, I think a link was shared earlier in this chat. Um, where yeah, Ronnie is sharing that link right now, I believe. You first have to go to cloud.layerfi.io Academy and go for the CMC Certified Meshery Contributor Certification place. You can click on enroll there. There are five different, five different units. So each of these units, Meshery UI unit has a thing like you must complete all of the previous units to attend this one. But other units you can attend according to your convenience. When I was attending the certification, I started with CLI and then jumped to server before moving to models and extensibility because I am basically a backend person, and it was easier for me to cover those two units before going to the rest. So each of the sessions, units have these prerequisites that Ronak is showing right now. And these same are the resources that we are using for giving the study hall sessions these days. We started with the introductory session on February 13th, and later every Friday we started continuing with that. So you have you can actually look at the previous meeting minutes to see what all topics were covered and watch the recorded sessions also. You can actually give it at your own pace after enrolling. It's not a mandatory thing that for contribution you need to attend this one, but this is good uh, if you actually if you are having experience with the code base also. For example, for me, I'm a backend person, but when I gave the session, I started learning a little bit more on UI. My knowledge on React is minimal, but still I was able to understand. And then I gave the exam on February second week. Yeah, that's how once you complete all the five sessions, you would be getting this certificate.
Thank you for your answer, Kavitra.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and additionally, hopping over to this, there's a blog on Meshery.io where the people who have cleared the certification, they have shared what it looks like and some of their experiences and what was their journey through and how did they clear it. So I think if that helps, you can uh, check out this blog. Oh, I think we don't have any more questions. Kavita, any closing thoughts?
Nothing much as of now because we are already 7 minutes over the time. I hope the session was useful for all of you, and hope you would continue with the next session next week also to have that at least the UI unit completely done. Yeah. And yeah, best of luck for the certified Meshery contributor certification if you're appearing for that soon.
Yeah, thanks everyone for joining, and we'll be seeing you on the next and perhaps not the last session. So feel free to tag us on Slack if you face any issues. But yeah, thanks everyone for joining. So we'll be seeing you. Have a great day and weekend. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Good night.